Yes, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here and talk to you guys about weather. So what we'll do is we'll do about a 15-minute presentation on the weather. I'll talk about what I do. I'll talk about my job. We'll talk about some extreme weather. We'll talk about tornadoes, hurricanes, snowstorms, and things like that. And then I will leave about 5 or 10 minutes at the end for questions. So as I go throughout the presentation and those questions come up in your head, save them, and then we'll get to them at the end. So was anybody up at 5 a.m. this morning? How about 6 a.m.? 7 a.m.? We're all up by 7, right? Yeah, so while you guys are getting up in the morning, that's when I'm on TV. So if you guys turned on the television, you would see me giving the forecast, giving the weather. And so what I do is I mainly forecast, but meteorologists mainly do one of two things. So meteorology is the study of the atmosphere, of air. And one of the main things they do is research, is studying why the atmosphere does what it does. Why does it rain instead of snow? Or why is it sunny instead of cloudy? How come hurricanes form in certain areas? We figure this out by doing research, so studying the clouds, seeing how the patterns are, looking at the temperature and the wind direction and pressure and how it changes with time. Maybe launching a weather balloon and putting sensors on the weather balloon to see what the weather might be in the atmosphere. Now, personally, I don't really do a lot of research. In fact, I barely do any research at all. What I do is I forecast. I try to predict the weather, try to figure out what's going to happen. Now, I use a lot of other scientists' past research in my forecasting to try to figure out what's going to be up next. What's it going to be like for Halloween when we're out trick-or-treating? Or what's it going to be like this weekend for the Bills game? I try to figure out what the weather's going to be like so you and your parents and friends and family can make plans. That's an image of me on television putting a forecast together. But if you look closely, you can see someone just quietly there sitting on the computer. That person is also a meteorologist, but they're not on television. There are, in fact, a lot of meteorologists that are not on television that might forecast for NASA to know when you need to launch a rocket ship. Or maybe you have a forecaster for a farmer that just wants to know when it's going to rain. In fact, most meteorologists are just behind the scenes, not necessarily on TV like what I do. So I have a degree in meteorology. Any math fans in here? Anybody like math? Show of hands. Okay, there you go. Good amount of you. Yeah, meteorology is very math intensive. Algebra, trigonometry, calculus. You'll take these classes in middle school and high school, and they're very related to atmospheric science, atmospheric physics. And the last one I have on here is communications. Now, it's kind of funny. Some people might think it's the opposite, that I would have a lot of communications background, but in fact, I don't. I did it all on the job. I have a really strong knowledge of the math, of the science, and then I use that to communicate it with you. And that's something that's really in all of life. Get a really good base knowledge in what you're talking about and what you're working on, and then you'll be a better communicator of that subject. So how do we get the forecast? If you wanted to know what the weather's going to be like the next couple of days, and you're at home and you're thinking, I wonder what the weather's going to be, what can you do to figure it out? Yeah, go ahead. You could watch the news. Yeah, I'll give you the weather. That's one way to do it. Yep.
Go on your phone and look at the weather app.
Your phone, your parents' phone, right? Maybe the weather app. That might be the number one way people get the weather. Yeah.
Going outside and see like how cold it is or how warm.
Just go outside. Yeah, that's a great way. Feel for yourself. Feel if it's cold or warm. Yeah.
You can ask your Alexa. That's what my mom does.
Ask Alexa. Ask Siri. That's a lot of people do that way too. Any other ways? Yeah. Check a weather app. Yeah, maybe the internet, right? Yeah, go ahead.
You could try your own experiments to see how you know that weather people do. Maybe you could try to do it yourself, and maybe when you grow up, you could do it, and maybe when you're a child, you could try doing some experiments to do it yourself.
Yeah, like put a thermometer outside maybe, and then you would see the temperature was, and then you would know what it was outside. Yeah, go ahead.
Like a weather stick outside, and check it in.
Get the temperature. Yeah, check that outside, then you know what it's going to be like. Yes, maybe if you're driving in a car, a radio might come up. Or there's a way that people used to use a long time ago where a piece of paper would show up to the front door called a newspaper. People used to have to use that to get a forecast. Hey, look, I get it. I used to look at the newspaper back in the day for the forecast. So those are all the things. Look outside. That's one of my favorites, right? You see, oh, it's sunny. You probably need sunglasses, right? Your phone, parents' phone, a lot of people have it on their watch as well. Internet, television, radio. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a forecast together. You guys are going to help me figure out exactly what the weather's going to be the next couple of days. So we have to figure out what's going on right now. So you start off with that red circle that I've got there. Raise your hand and tell me what's a current condition that we want to measure, that we want to figure out. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, maybe the temperature.
Temperature is a big one. Yeah, it was cold this morning. We were 30 degrees. It was below freezing. Yeah. Wind speed, huge, yeah. What was the wind this morning? It was calm, but we'll say it was actually kind of an east wind. So east is this direction. And so you have direction and speed. So direction you do on the circle, and then speed you do it as draws like lines like that. So it was an east wind. Yeah, go ahead.
Which way the wind is blowing?
Yep, direction, yeah. So if it was a west wind, we draw the line over here. So it's an east wind, we'll have it over here, yeah.
You can see how, like, you can see where the clouds are going and see if they might, like, form a big tornado or storm or lightning.
Clouds, yeah, we'll stick with clouds, cloud coverage. So what we do with cloud coverage is in the middle. If it's sunny, we leave it blank. If it's partly cloudy, we use fractions, so we'll cut it in half. We'll do partly cloudy. If it was overcast, then we would fill the whole circle in. So we'll go partly cloudy, yeah.
The atmosphere?
So we're measuring the atmosphere. Yeah, go ahead.
Weather?
Weather, we're figuring it out. We're figuring out the forecast, the weather. Any other current conditions? If it's really muggy outside, how can we describe that one? Can you think of it?
Foggy?
Fog? Fog is close, but I'll actually put fog on there because there was some fog this morning. Fog is precipitation. We'd put it in this line there. If there was rain or snow or something, we'd put that in that category there.
Humid?
Humidity, yeah, the dew point. Yeah, that's a big one. That one's there. We'll put that there. And then the last one is pressure. So I'd put that like right here. Okay, so we got it. That's the current conditions. A little foggy, east flow, 30 degrees. We'll take that at a moment in time. And then we'll do it here. We'll take it in Rochester. We'll do it in Chilai. We'll do it in Buffalo. We'll do it all across the country. We'll do it all across the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're constantly taking this current condition, that data, and we're putting it into our computer models to try to figure out a better picture of what's going on in the atmosphere. Now we're going to look at satellite and radar. This kind of look familiar, right?
Yeah.
This was a screenshot from this morning, 8 a.m. this morning. There's Rochester, there's us in New York State. It's sunny, there's nothing going on. But look at what's down here.
A rainstorm.
Yeah, big storm system, rain across Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Illinois, all these areas. And that rain is going to be heading up towards us. So we know there's probably going to be some rain coming in soon based on how the jet stream flows. If you ever see an airplane flying way up high in the sky, that airplane is taking those current conditions that we did, the temperature, the wind speed, the dew point, and it's doing it at a really high altitude, so way up in the sky. So now we know what's going on at the surface, and we know what's going on way up. So we have a really good idea of what's going on in the atmosphere. And we can draw these maps where the warm air is and where the cold air is. There's us in New York State. And there's a big blob of cold air that's kind of close to where that rain was, right? So maybe we know that what's coming up is going to be some cold air, some rain as well. It's going to be a little bit stormy. And now we're going to put our 8-day forecast together. This look familiar? Right? Yeah, I showed this morning. Yeah, exactly. So look at what's coming tomorrow. Rain, high chance for rain, colder air, rain, wind, clouds as well. So yeah, I know that you might not be excited about this forecast, but you helped me put this together. We did this calculations. We did the forecast together. So the next time you see this, you know that we used science in order to figure out what the weather was going to be. So we're not guessing here. This is actual work in order to figure out what's going to happen. Friday's Halloween, yeah. So now we present it, right? I'll take all that data, all that information, and I'll put it in a presentation. That's an image of me on the green screen, yep. So that's at News 8 Studios. And I use a green screen because it allows me to be more interactive with my presentation. And if you look hard, you can see that's what you would see at home. and then, of course, that's what you would see in the studio. We basically tell the computer that's in the TV, show the image on top of this green screen, but just don't show the green. So anything that's green, it will show the image on top of it. So the only rule that I have is I can't wear green. I'm not wearing any green here. You can see right now I'm obviously not wearing any green. It's just the one rule that I can't wear that color. Okay, so we're going to talk about a little bit of extreme weather. Does anybody know the temperature at which water freezes? Let's see, anybody? Go ahead. A little bit colder. Go right here.
Low 32.
32, yeah, 32 degrees. That's the number. 32 degrees. Does anybody know it in Celsius for a bonus? Got it in Celsius?
Celsius is basically like Fahrenheit, but a little different.
Yeah. Do we know the number? What's the equivalent of 32? Yeah.
They say lower than 32.
It's lower than 32, yeah.
22.
A little bit lower. You got it? Lower.
13.
Lower.
7.
Lower.
5.
Lower.
2. 3.
Lower.
I know it.
You guys are so close. I heard it. 0. 0. There we go. It's always fun to see how long it takes. Okay, so let's go back to our 32, okay? Back to our 32. This is our freezing mark, right? This is the temperature at which water freezes. Let's pretend there's a big storm system coming, and we've got to figure out, is it going to rain or is it going to snow? We'll pretend it's January. And the storm system's coming in, and the temperature that the forecast models tell us, say 34 degrees. Is it going to rain or snow at 34? Rain, right? It'll rain because it's above freezing. You draw it with dots like that, so it's going to rain. Let's pretend we're getting 1 inch of rain. That's quite a bit of rain. There might be a little bit of flooding here and there, but generally we'll be okay. We'll still be able to get to school. We'll go about our day. It'll just be kind of a soaker of a day. Uh-oh. The forecast models might have been wrong. As the storm approaches, it's trending a little bit colder. It looks like the temperature might actually be 30 degrees when the storm comes in. Is it going to rain or snow?
No.
Snow. Now it's going to snow because it's below freezing. You draw it with little stars like that. Well, you're going to learn about ratios when you go into further math classes. And 1 inch of rain is the equivalent of 10 inches of snow.
What?
10 inches of snow, well, that's going to shut down school. That's going to cause power outages. That's going to cause road closures, things like that. So just a couple of degrees difference between 30 and 34, you have 31 and 33, things like that. That can be a massive difference in storms. So it's really important for us to get that forecast exactly right when we're talking winter storms. Now we can go over thunderstorms. I know we're kind of going into cold season, but thunderstorms are obviously a big part of forecasting the weather. We've got to focus on how much rain we can get. Lightning can be a big threat as well with these storms. Gusty winds, hail as well, which is just large balls of ice that can fall down from the sky out of these clouds. And then the big one that a lot of people like to talk about are tornadoes. Now, that is an image of me when I went tornado chasing many years ago. That was an EF3 tornado in Bennington, Kansas. We went out there for a couple of weeks to study how these storms form and basically when they form, what they do when they form, and things like that. So I'll use this as a demonstration. So wind generally moves in a horizontal pattern, right, overhead. That's why you see clouds going from one way to the other. When you get instability, you get really cold air overhead, aloft, and you get really warm air at the surface. And the difference between the warm air and the cold air is instability. Then you get rising motion, and that's what can cause thunderstorms. Now you have the thunderstorms, and most of those thunderstorms are not going to produce a tornado. But when you get the right amount of spin in the exact right direction, that's when you can get a tornado to form. So, yeah, and you might have seen this sometimes. You see it in the bathtub sometimes when the water kind of goes down the drain like that. I'll do it one more time for you guys. Now, I'll do it one more time for you guys. So with these storms, there's ratings. The ratings is an EF scale, Enhanced Fujita scale, 0 to 5. And when these storms form, a lot of people want to say, oh, that looks like maybe an EF1 or an EF2 tornado, but you cannot rate the tornado based on how it looks. What you do is you actually go to the place that the tornado went through. Let's say if it was a small town and there was a roof torn off and some windows that were blown out. Based on the damage that the storm was done, that's how they rate the storms. They look at the damage done and then they go back in and give that storm a rating. So there's tornadoes. What else do we have? We got to talk about hurricanes, right? Hurricane Melissa in the top of news just made landfall in Jamaica yesterday and then went through Cuba today. Can hurricanes make landfall in New York State? Yes, and I'll take both answers. Usually they don't, right? It would be more like Texas or Florida or the Carolinas. And then they would work their way up towards us, towards New York State. And we would get the remnants of these storms. So we can get very heavy rain. We can still get wind out of them. And in fact, that can cause some flooding around here. And we've had remnants of storms that have led to flooding across New York State. And we've talked to scientists and climatologists that have told us that the rain from these storms and other storms has actually gotten worse over the past few decades because of climate change, global warming. You might have heard of that before, that as you warm up the atmosphere, it's able to hold more moisture, more liquid. And that's one of the main ingredients for not only thunderstorms, but also hurricanes and very heavy rain. So ways we can help mitigate that warming. This look familiar?
Yes.
Right? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Yeah, there are certain things that we can do to help mitigate that. Planting a tree, gardening, riding your bike, getting outside. Any bike riders in here? Anybody like to ride their bike? A lot of you, there you go. Yeah, that's great. Turning off the lights, going outside, all that good stuff. So, okay, so there's my presentation. The next group, 10:35-ish, you said they're coming in? Okay, so we got some time for questions. Anything about me or my job or, of course, weather as well, I'd be happy to answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Yesterday there was like a frost. What about that?
There was a frost yesterday, yeah. So when temperatures drop below freezing, so 32 degrees, often what will happen is the temperature will reach down to the dew point. And we talked about that humidity. When the relative humidity is 100%, so there's a lot of moisture in the air, that allows for the moisture in the air. I know you can't see it right now, but there's moisture all around us. There's always like some water vapor around us. So that water vapor can condense on grass, and in a liquid form, it's dew. But if it's below freezing, below 32 degrees, then it's frost, and that's how we can get frost. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it common for tornadoes to be near us, to happen near us?
No, it's pretty rare for tornadoes to happen around New York State. 2024 was a very busy year for tornadoes. We had 29, I think, which was a record. But it's much more common in places like where I was, in Oklahoma and Texas. And that's because it's kind of the perfect combination. You have moisture coming out of the Gulf, and then you have really cold air coming over the Rockies. So it's kind of a perfect combination across the whole world. We see that most in Tornado Alley. Yeah, go ahead.
So, have we ever seen a tornado over 3?
Over the EF3 that I saw, I have not, no. There have been a couple EF4s and EF5s recently, but those are super rare. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you just film?
Do I just film, like what?
Like, do you just go on TV?
Yes, so I'm in front of the camera, right? My friend Kayla here, she's helping me out. She's kind of behind the camera doing the filming, and I'm usually in front of the camera. Yeah, go ahead.
Can clouds form into tornadoes?
Can clouds form into tornadoes? Yes. In fact, all tornadoes start as a cloud, start as a little baby cloud. Yeah, go ahead.
Has there any been, like, what was the biggest tornado or, like, biggest rating that's been this?
Sure. So there was an El Reno tornado back in 2013 that was 2.5 miles wide. 2.6 to be exact. That's the widest tornado ever recorded. So, yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever see a fire tornado?
Have I ever seen a fire tornado? No, I have not. But I've seen on video. I've seen a fire tornado. Fire-nado is what they can call. And that's often happens when you have a wildfire. And remember when I said you have all this warm air and then all this cold air? Well, you can imagine a fire is pretty hot, right? So you get a really unstable atmosphere, really very unstable air, and that's going to create that spin so you can get those fire-nados. So let's talk a little bit about how to chase a tornado. Most tornadoes will move in the same direction. Like 90% of them are all going to move east-northeast like this, right? And if you've ever been out west in northern Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas area. It's very flat for miles and miles, and all the roads, or most of the roads, are like grids. They run north-south and east-west. So it's really easy to drive around those states because the roads are literally like grids. So as a tornado, let's say there's a tornado out in central Kansas and you're trying to chase it. What you do is you stay south of the tornado. So you'll stay down here, right? And then you'll drive north and then east, and then north and then east, like this. And that way you stay safe. You stay away from the tornado, and you also actually get a good view of the tornado because that's the best way to see it from that side. So that's the safest way to do it. Yeah, go ahead. I'll get you next. Yeah, go ahead.
So has there ever been like more than a EF3 in New York?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think there was one EF4 down in like Yonkers, New York City area. Many decades ago, but definitely not as recent. And I don't think there's been any EF4s in kind of western New York, Finger Lakes area. Okay, go ahead.
Wasn't Joplin tornado an EF1 or an EF?
Joplin tornado. I think that was an EF3. You know, Joplin tornado, like 6 years ago, something like that.
It was an EF5.
It was a big one, yeah. Maybe it was up to EF5, yeah. Go ahead. How likely is it for us to get a hurricane? They're pretty rare. It's very rare for us to see the actual impacts of a hurricane. Superstorm Sandy comes to mind when we had really big impacts from that storm system, but yeah, pretty rare. Go ahead.
Have you had any floods lately?
Have we had any floods lately?
I mean, like anywhere, have you recorded?
I'm trying to think. Last year, Canandaigua had a pretty bad flood last year. There were a couple other spots. I've seen some flooding. There was some, it depends. Ellison Park floods all the time. There's some certain areas that have flooded around here. I'll go right here. Go ahead.
Was there ever like a tsunami lately?
Tsunami.
I love tsunami.
Probably have to go back to, the one that always pops to my mind is in Japan, is the one, Fukushima. Right behind you, go ahead. Can you say again, please? How do I know if a tornado stops? So there's a couple ways we're tracking the tornado, right? So radar is a big one because we're going to use that to see as the storm forms, it'll have a signature. So radar is where we're scanning the atmosphere for the storm. So we'll see the storm form. Then the second way is using your eyes, seeing the storm system. That's kind of another way we'll help verify it. And if we see the tornado on radar and we see it in person, that's good because that will help us warn people out ahead of the storm to get into your storm shelter. And then let's say if we see the storm on radar, but Bob down the street says, oh, looks like the tornado has dissipated, that will help us. So there's a couple ways. You can use radar or you can actually see it as well. All the way in the back, go ahead.
Have you ever seen a storm?
Have I ever seen a storm?
Yeah.
Like any storm? Yeah, see storms all the time. I love looking at storms. Go ahead. Have you ever seen a water spout? Yes, I have. I went to school at SUNY Oswego, which is right on Lake Ontario, and I've seen plenty of water spouts, and we get them all the time on Lake Ontario. Go ahead.
Is there a thing of a water tornado?
So yeah, water spout is kind of like a water tornado, right? So it's that same idea where you have really warm air or really warm water and then very cold air overhead. So a lot of times we'll get the water spouts around this time, October, November timeframe, because Lake Ontario is still warm. Water temperatures are in the 60s, and then air temperature can get super cool. All right, right here, go ahead.
Have you ever studied hot springs?
Have you ever studied hot springs? No, I don't think so. One more weather question.
How long can tornadoes last?
How long can tornadoes last? Anywhere from probably a few seconds, really, to generally 4 or 5 minutes is average, but they can last for hours sometime. Thank you guys so much for this presentation. This is great.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 on demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.